When a good team leader burns out or leaves, the organisation doesn't just lose a person. It loses continuity. It loses history. It loses relational knowledge. It loses confidence in the team. It loses momentum around decisions that were already fragile. And in child protection, those losses don't just stay neatly inside the workforce column. They can ripple through teams, through placements, plans, partnerships, and the lived experience of children and young people. That's why I think we need to talk more seriously about the cost of losing good team leaders. Not just the recruitment cost, not just the vacancy, not just the stress leave, the real cost. The cost of what that person was holding. Good team leaders hold a lot more than their job description suggests. They hold team memory. They remember why a decision was made 3 months ago or 3 years ago. They remember which staff member needs a slower conversation before a hard shift. They remember which young person reacts badly when plans change at the last minute. They remember which carer is close to capacity but hasn't quite said it directly. They remember which risk needs watching, which stakeholder needs follow-up, and which plan has started to drift. And that kind of knowledge is not always written down. Some of it should be, of course, but some of it lives in experience, in pattern recognition, in relationships, in the leader's ability to notice small changes before they become big problems. And when that leader leaves or burns out, that knowledge doesn't always transfer cleanly. Sometimes it just disappears. Sometimes a new person has to rebuild it slowly. Sometimes the team spends months trying to recover the context that walked out the door. In child protection, lost context has consequences. When a strong team leader is no longer there, the team can lose more than guidance. They can lose steadiness. The person they went to in a situation when it felt messy is gone. The person who helped them make sense of risk is gone. The person who knew when to push, when to pause, and when to escalate is gone. The person who could steady the room after a hard incident is gone. So the team may become more reactive, or more hesitant, or more dependent on senior managers who are already stretched, or more likely to miss things because the person who used to hold the pattern is not there. And again, this is not because people are careless. It's because good team leaders often act as the connective tissue in a team. They help the work hold together. And when that connective tissue is lost, the team can still function on paper, but the feel of the team changes. The confidence level changes. The pace changes. The follow-through changes. And children and young people can feel those changes. Children and young people may never know the phrase team leader turnover. They may not know that there's a vacancy. They may not know the leader who knew their context is gone. But they can experience the effects. They might experience another delay, another adult who needs to catch up, another plan that loses momentum, another worker who seems unsure, another meeting where old ground gets covered again, another change in tone, consistency, or follow-through. For kids and young people in care, retelling can feel unsafe. Adults changing can confirm beliefs that they already carry, that people leave, that plans change, that nothing stays, and no one really knows me. That's why workforce stability is not separate from child stability. They're connected. Stable teams are more able to provide consistent care, follow through, and relational safety. And strong team leaders are often central to keeping those teams stable. There's also a serious organisational cost. When team leaders burn out, senior managers often have to step in. They carry extra oversight. They cover decisions. They absorb escalations. They support a team that may already be unsettled. And then recruitment starts, induction starts, relationships need to be rebuilt, trust has to be re-established. The new leader needs time to understand the people, the risks, the history, the culture, the informal patterns, and the pressure points. And that transition period is rarely neutral. It costs time, it costs energy, it costs attention. And in stretched systems, attention is one of the most precious resources that we have. Every hour spent rebuilding lost leadership capacity is an hour not spent strengthening practice, improving stability, supporting staff, or moving decisions forward for children and young people. And that's not a small cost, just often hidden. And I think one mistake that we make is we respond to team leader burnout too late. We notice when the leader is already on leave, or when the resignation lands, or when the teams become visibly unstable, or when complaints or drift or vacancies start to build. But by then, the cost has already begun. So a better question is not how do we replace this leader, and sometimes we do need to replace them, but better that we ask a question earlier. What was this leader holding that the system should have been holding with them? And that question changes the conversation. It moves us away from individual heroics and towards system design. What rhythms were missing? What decisions depended too heavily on one person? Where were debriefs not happening? Where was emotional load being absorbed privately? Where were escalation pathways unclear? Where was the team relying on the leader's memory instead of a shared structure? Because if we don't ask those questions, we can recruit a new leader into the same fragile setup and just start the cycle again. Again, this is not about blaming leaders who leave. Sometimes leaving is the healthiest thing that a person can do. And sometimes leave is exactly what they need. People aren't machines. They can't be asked to carry impossible pressure indefinitely. The work really matters, and this is precisely why the system around them has to be stronger. We shouldn't need leaders to become heroic for children to experience continuity. Heroic leadership is fragile leadership. It looks impressive until the person breaks. Robust leadership is different. Robust leadership is supported. It has rhythm around it. It has decision pathways. It has proper debriefs. It has clear access structures. It has buffers. It has shared ownership. It has senior leaders who are paying attention before the person is at the edge. That kind of leadership is less dramatic, but much better. So if you're a decision maker, it may be useful to think about the team leaders in your organization and ask a few honest questions. Which team leaders are currently holding knowledge that no one else really holds? Which teams would become fragile if one key leader stepped away for 3 months? Where are we relying on someone's goodwill, their memory, and capacity instead of a shared rhythm? What gets delayed when a team leader is absent? Which children, carers, staff, or stakeholders are most affected when leadership continuity drops? Where do we already see signs of overload, but maybe we've normalized them because the leader's still functioning? These aren't comfortable questions. They are cheaper to ask early than late. And the hopeful part is that we can reduce the risk. We can support team leaders before burnout becomes absence or resignation. We can build rhythms that make the work less dependent on one person. We can help teams clarify where decisions live, where pressure gets processed, where follow-up is tracked, and how staff access leadership without overwhelming one person. We can help leaders stop being the only container every wobble, question, risk, and loose end. That doesn't take away the complexity of child protection. It doesn't make hard work easy, but it makes the system less fragile. And less fragile systems are better for leaders, they're better for teams, and they're better for children and young people. The cost of losing good team leaders is bigger than a vacant role. It's the loss of continuity, context, confidence, and relational knowledge. It's the disruption to teams that were already carrying complex work. And sometimes it's another layer of instability around children and young people who've already experienced too much of it. So the question's not, how do we recruit more team leaders? The question is, how do we protect, support, and strengthen the good ones that we already have? Because when good team leaders stay well enough to stay, teams have a better chance of staying steady. And when teams stay steady, children and young people have a better chance of experiencing the continuity that they need. If you want to see how we support team leaders to build that stability inside the Leadership Lab, details are in the description.